everybody. So I'm currently in my car now. If it sounds kind of loud because my exhaust, but in this video, if the caption doesn't already say it, I'm going to not show you guys because obviously I can't, you know, show exactly, but I'm gonna show you the process and what I do when I do my street tunes on my car, because obviously my car is not stock. I've had it street tuned by myself, but I've had my car street tuned for like about a little more than a year now, and I've already taken it to LA back, and not saying it's like 100% tune, like, you know, I've never had a dyno tune. I would love to. It's kind of expensive, but yeah, I'm gonna show you guys how. Look at Ivan, bro. I was like, what is that? But yeah, I don't want to say too much, so I'm gonna do that once I got the laptop and everything out right now. And yeah, but I'm gonna go ahead and wash my car first before I do start this tuning video, because I washed in the morning and I was not pleased with the results. The sun was glaring and kind of gave me some wet spots that I'm not happy about. So yeah, I'm gonna go give this a good little wash back to the inside, and then we'll start with the tuning, because that's what everybody's freaking into. Freaking pops, bangs, flames, and all that stuff. Close your door, buddy. Alrighty, well, I washed my car a lot better now. I tried doing some recording, but people kind of stare, and I'm not used to recording in front of people yet. But other than that, I'm gonna go home and get my brother so he can do the driving. We're gonna go to Rallies, go get some burgers, and that's how I'm planning to do the street tune today. Let's get it. Alright, one thing I forgot to do was pump gas. You don't want to be empty when doing this, obviously. But wondering, I am gonna tune on HTS. I'm gonna go step by step on literally how I go. So I'm not sure why my software or app does this, but it just says something about missing font. I don't know what that is. I just click no, and then bada bing, bada boom. If you're on Honda, I believe it's about the same exact thing, like tuning wise, but from there you can either press this plus symbol or go on emulator, doesn't matter. It'll connect this. This is just telling you real-time update. If you click no, whatever changes you make will not automatically change with the tuning. If you click yes, whatever adjustment you make is instant. So I go with yes. So now with this being done, you are now hooked up to the EMU, but you're not data logging. Data logging lets you see everything. What? Oh, my bad. Key's not in. I was about to get freaking pooped, yo. Tune, and if you guys can't hear me that good, we're in the car, but I'm gonna go ahead and press the arrow down. That's gonna download what I currently have in my EMU right now. So hopefully you guys can hear me pretty good. If not, once I'm editing this, I'll know, and I'll just put like a little voiceover thing. But right here, we're live. One thing I want to say is my O2 reading is correct. I have it wired. If you guys want to know how to do that, I have it in a separate video. But if you guys can see here, I'm like 16s-ish. Same with the wideband, so I'm not gonna go back and forth and explain, you know, what's what. But right now, obviously the car is super lean. I'm gonna go ahead and make my adjustment up. I want to go ahead and talk about other things first before we go on to the actual tuning of how I do it. I also do want to say is, if you're tuning just to go look for some power or whatever, I'm not gonna, if you don't feel like going through a whole video of why my car won't go fast, this is not your video. I'm explaining thoroughly how I go through everything. So obviously when you're first tuning, you want to check for, what would it be, your ignition lock. I'm not gonna go ahead and do that because the car is driving, obviously not. But you want to make sure you have your ignition timing spot on, because when you go ahead and start doing some adjustments with your ignition map, last thing you want is for your car to not be in sync with it, and you're over here giving 30 degrees full throttle, and you're over here like at 35 or 28, regarding if you're retarded or advanced. Another thing also to look at is your ECT corrections. I say that because a lot of people will sometimes do pulls and not wait for the cars to warm up. So right here I have mine to, once it hits 177 Fahrenheit, for it to turn off enrichment. What that means basically is when your car's at cold start, it's like, let's say at 31 Fahrenheit, 68, you guys can see as it warms up, it takes off fuel. And I say that because if you're doing a pull at cold start, 68 Fahrenheit, you have 20% enrichment in your whole fuel map. You're over here thinking you're too rich. You pull out fuel, then you warm up, then you're like, what's going on? So you want to make sure you're at full operating temperature. I'm at 182 Fahrenheit while driving, so that's good. You want to make sure you're at 0% enrichment when you're driving. Same with ignition, all that stuff gets corrected when you're at cold start. So make sure you guys are at operating temperature. And then also another thing is, same thing when your car is turned off. You want to do it when your car is turned off. I'm driving already, but the car is turned off. Calibrate your TPS, because you don't want to be flooring it and you're only at 80% percentage at your TPS sensor. You can also set up with, like, there is a closed loop right here. I have it, my wideband closed loop input. Oh, well, should at least. And then what else do we got? Here you go, injector calibration. So right now I uploaded an old map because the map I'm trying to tune on right now wasn't working for whatever reason. I'm not sure why, but I have Type S injectors, which are 330cc. So when you're doing injector, you put 330cc, and right now at the light, I'm probably gonna wait till he turns, but it might either take out, add fuel, depending on what it sees the O2 readings. And if it sees it's too lean, then it'll give it, vice versa. But it'll tell you if you wanted to calculate it with your new injectors, and you go on from there. So yeah, once you do upload that, if you're driving, and just did right now, I had to make some corrections off camera real quick. We're literally on the freeway. yeah, those are a couple things I want to mention before we start tuning. And before I go any further, I don't really see me right now, but I do want to say, whatever you guys do to your car, I am not liable for. If it blows up while you're doing this, or you know, things like that, I'm making this video for informational purposes only. If tuners want to give me some tips, people have been doing it longer than I have. I am trying to be helpful and receive tips at the same time. A lot of people like not sharing information. I don't mind it. I try helping as much as I can. But yeah, if your car blows up in the process, or if you don't feel comfortable doing this, do not do this. Poor favor. But let's get to street tuning. And so if I miss anything in the parameters, I will try and do it once I get home. But there's a lot more that goes into it. The only thing I also don't know at the current moment is my I think they call it the dead times or something like that, or the delay. I forgot what it's called. But when you buy new injectors, like aftermarket injectors, they give you those trims. I believe you would insert those right here, the offsets and all that. But I don't know these from factory, and I don't know if they need it. But yeah. So also too, if you're not running any certain sensors like your O2, obviously I'm not because I have my wideband. Disable that. Disable your, if you're not a VTEC and you have a VTEC ECU but you're on a non-VTEC motor, disable the sensors. You don't want any check engine lights that you don't know of. Everything is shown right here so you can see what it is, but you don't want to be, you know, looking back and forth. If you know you don't have those sensors, go ahead and disable it. And yeah. So when tuning, usually people that I know of, they think that when you're gonna go for a tune, the way I see it is they just hit this stuff full throttle, depending on your build. This is a street car, I guess you can call it. I rarely even do pulls as is, but you know, I like my tune to be pretty clean for the most part. But most people will think that you're going to just go for a freaking street tune, full throttle, full throttle, full throttle, full throttle, and then call it there, and then they start driving, and then they say their freaking mileage is gas or crap, whatever. I usually try street tuning and try going through everything. Right now my brother's driving it. I try going through all the gears, cruising, acceleration, idle, things like that. Right here is a little jumpy because I had to, like I said, make corrections to the whole map because I went super lean when I went to the new injector calibration. So for a base map, if you're the first trying to start off your car, depending on what swap you have, HTS does offer a variety of them. I can show you right here. You would go file, new, OBD1, Honda tuning site, and you have right here, that's when you're going to insert all your if you have an aftermarket map sensor, your injectors, sometimes even it lets you do your transmission. You go next and it shows you all of the maps it has right here as a base map. So even if you put a Type R map, it's not going to run like a Type R. You guys got to remember that. People put Type R tunes expecting to have Type R power. No, the motor is built for that tune. So you can throw these as a base map, but don't expect your car to be making 200 horsepower just because you have this stuff. It doesn't work that way. If your car is set up for it, it might run good. If it's not and it runs like crap, you're like, oh, this tune sucks. It's because you don't have a Type R motor. Same thing if you're trying to put a B18 map on a D16 or something, you know. Just trying to go through it as quick as possible so I'm not over here yipping and yapping. But yeah, just try to put what's close as possible to your motor setup, and from there, that's where you can go on with tuning. I'm not gonna press finish because that's gonna delete this whole thing, so I'm just go ahead and exit out of it here. And yeah, so right now that he's driving, I'm just going to the AFR. I can see he's rich there, lean here, lean there, rich here. So all you really want to do mainly is focus on where the rich parts are at, where you want the power to be at, where you want the, you know, not too rich spots at, and just see, like right now, for example, when he's cruising, this is cruising and that's in the 15s. In my opinion, 15s isn't the worst thing ever. Some people try putting 14.7 on the spot, which is good, but I mean, it's not gonna, I would say, kill it in my opinion. I've seen cars go up to like 16 on the wideband when cruising, and that's perfectly fine. But if you are, for example, let's say right here is lean in some blunt spots, you can do it by two ways. You can select the column, press Control up, and it'll move the columns, or add by percentage. I prefer by percentage because you can move up the column. People are gonna go up and down, up and down, up and down, adjusting stuff, and it's not gonna work out that way. If you go by percentage, I can add like maybe like 3%, and it'll give it just a speckle more of fuel, and you can reach what you're targeting. So right now, I'm not doing any adjustments whatsoever, just because the idles, well, the AFR is pretty good, and we're only cruising at 66. Once we get on freeway going like 80 miles per hour to 75 miles per hour, then I can see where some adjustments might need to be made at a higher RPM. Because right now it's only at 3,500, as you guys can see, 30s, yeah, fluctuating. But you know, it's not horrible. But I'm gonna go ahead and make some cleanups right here, just make the lines look a lot more smoother. You don't want the lines crossing, and you don't want no jagged, crazy mountain stuff. You know what I mean? Because then that just, you know, if you guys can tell, also when it's going lean like that, that's because it's off throttle. You don't want any fuel off throttle because, you know, you're trying to slow down. So right here, we're at a stoplight. Perfect example. Once he's at a dead stop, I can see how much fuel is at. I can see right off the back, we're kind of lean. So even if he's driving, I know for a fact, pretty lean. So I'm gonna go ahead and select the whole column. We're in like the 15, so I'll go ahead and just add like about, and I would say about like 5%. You guys can tell it moved those columns up. So yeah, you guys probably can't see me that good, but I'm gonna go ahead and just give the car a tune because I feel like I've explained somewhat. I'm gonna show you guys what I've done once I'm done doing it, and from there on the way back home, I'm gonna show you guys how I go about actually doing pulls and what I feel is best for the car and what AFR should be at, and then I'll move to ignition timing when it comes to it. Fucking pit stop at Rallies. Sick ass fool. Alright, so you guys are now looking at a screen recording of the actual tune itself. I didn't even know I could screen record, but this is pretty dope. So that way I can actually just talk like normal. I'm currently in my living room chilling, but yeah, honestly, I don't remember what I was supposed to be talking about at this point. But I believe at this point we're already going home, cruising. So like I said, if you don't see me making any adjustment, because you can see on the actual O2 wideband, it's already in pretty decent range. I know some people, like how I said earlier, targeting it. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just sometimes, you know, the injectors aren't like flowing super like clean, or just, you know, it's kind of difficult at times, or the tuning software only lets you adjust certain increments, things like that. And then, for example, with like power, not saying that like when you're tuning you're not going for power, but when street tuning, I try going through, like how I said, all the gears and just really try giving a whole driving experience is what I'm trying to say. So like, you know, for example, if I know how here I'm selecting a column, I don't know what the wideband was at that moment, but if it was either too rich or too lean, you know, I adjust from there. And then sometimes you'll see me within the actual map itself just making the column look smoother, because if you have jagged lines or tables crossing each other, that's what the card's going to respond to. So, you know, if you have one super high and then just going back down low, you can have a crazy rich spot and then back to, you know, wherever it's supposed to be at. So, yeah, as of right now, I couldn't tell. I can't tell exactly, but I'm assuming we're just still cruising, because you can tell from where the map's at, where it's highlighted, that's where it's actually driving at. And then I also do want to mention anything at the very far left where it's like negative 26.6, I believe. That's basically just, you know, zero, I believe. No, not zero vacuum, but like that's full 100% zero throttle. I've seen some people adjust that column. I typically don't, because that's zero throttle, like that's decel. So you typically don't want to add fuel in it, and if it's showing fuel on that, you can drop it down and, just not have any fuel at that point. But yeah, so far pretty good. AFR not looking too crazy. One thing I will say though is for those who do want to save, like gas in their tunes, you can have it a little lean. The most I would ever do it to is 16. That's why I said it's okay. But typically, I'll have mine in the low 15s, 14, sometimes like 15 too. But I try doing my best I can. But with the tunes, it's not the easiest when you're driving. A dyno is much more preferred because you can just, sit there and really dial it in. But, work with what we got. And of course, I know someone gonna be in the comments saying I either did something bad or I'm adjusting something wrong or, you know, there's always someone that knows more. And I'm not saying I know it all. I'm not a professional tuner by any means. But yeah, right here, I'm actually showing how the wideband shows you where it wants you to add and subtract percentages of the fuel value. And you can go off this. It's like a 50-50 for me. Sometimes not super accurate. So I'm just showing you guys here how that works. Right here is showing you want to take about 15%, 16%. So you can add like a little happy in between. Subtract. Right here is where I have the actual AFR table set up. So 14.7, 13 and some change, and then 11 up top. I don't know why the up top is so high. It's supposed to be like, I would say full throttle is like 13.0 wideband is where I like to have it. 14.7, obviously when cruising, and then like 13 and some change when getting into some throttle to get some more power out of it. That's just the way I would like it. I tried selecting the column to make it go to 14.7 so that the actual like calibration would be more accurate, but it wasn't letting me. But I knew what I wanted it to be at, so I wasn't too worried about it. But yeah, that's just the target AFR. And then let's see. That right there is showing what the wideband is seeing. So when it's super red, super lean, green is in the good. Obviously, you guys can tell up top it was green in the 11 O's, so I kind of needed to take off you off there, but I'm not doing pulls right now. I'll keep repeating it. I'm just trying to get the car to fluctuate through the whole entire map and see where exactly I need to make my adjustments at. Alrighty, so at this point, I feel like I've explained a decent amount of how it should work. I'll repeat it again. Just try to get your AFRs as close to possible what you guys would prefer to. Like I said, I'm not a genius by any means. I'm just trying to thoroughly explain how I go about tuning every car I've ever tuned, which is about a couple of my brother's Integra, my friend's other hatch, and a couple other cars. I learned as I go. I wouldn't tune anybody's car without tuning my first, and that's how I did it from the beginning. And I won't lie, my tunes in the beginning were not the sharpest by any means, so it definitely does take some practice. I went through the software for about a little more than a year now, and I believe I've gotten better because my car drives pretty good, but there's always room for improvement. But yeah, and I do want to remind you guys, set your ignition timing, get your ECT corrections good. And I don't mean mechanical timing, I mean ignition timing, when your spark, things of that nature, because the last thing you want to do is be tuning. It just changes everything, man. Right here, I believe we're almost getting to full throttle, if I'm not mistaken. So with full throttle, one thing I do want to say is try not doing it off first gear, as funny as that sounds, because the way I've seen it is if you hit it off first gear, you're not gonna get not a clean pull, but you're not gonna see the whole curve. So like, let's say if you do a pull from fourth gear at 2 grand and you punch it, obviously you're not gonna feel drastic power at such low RPM, but you can see the RPM and power curve and see exactly where it's lean, where it's rich, where you need to add your fuel, take out your fuel, rather than doing a first gear pull and that thing freaking screaming to its nuts and be like, okay, where was the lean, where was the rich? You can obviously see it on the table probably, but I prefer to see it gradually and see exactly more accurately where I need to do it at. And then once you get your target going, you go to your ignition table and see, okay, once my AFR is good, add a little bit of timing, see if the car feels any better, give or take. You don't want to add a crazy amount, maybe like a half a degree, give or take. Actually, the Hondas love, or not love, but I typically seen some tunes go up to like always 30 degrees full throttle. I'm not saying by any means do it. You got to be careful because you can definitely detonate. You want to watch out for that. Only add at your comfort, but because the last thing you want to do is detonate and blow up a motor. That is not fun. It'll sound like a pinging noise. Typically, right there, where it's like around 41, a lot of people have put it down to 38. I'm not saying it's like a horrible thing to do it, but I haven't really seen an issue running mine at that amount of ignition timing. If you want to run at 38 to keep it safe, by all means, go for it. Every car is different. I've had mine like that for a decent amount of time. I've seen some people go up to like 44. I don't know, man. That's just typically where I want to have mine. Like I said, same thing with the fuel map. You want to have it clean, no cross lines, no nothing of that. The smoother, the better you'll feel it. Right here, I'm just showing how I did my popcorn mod and two-step mod. I will do that in a separate video because it's a whole thing on its own. I'm just trying to, have my tune set up. I just enabled it because, how I said previously, my tune got corrupt and that didn't have it enabled. But yeah, as of right now, I believe the tune's pretty much done. That's how it first started off in the beginning, and that's how it ended. I could probably use some more adjustment, but I'm gonna call it right there. I'm pretty happy with the results. Full throttle feels great, cruising feels good, acceleration feels good, tuning seems to be okay. So yeah, that looks like it's gonna be about it. Right here, I actually explain how it looks from the first to the second map, so I'm not gonna keep, boring you guys with that. But the reason I actually have two maps though is because one's for popcorn and one's just regular popcorns. You enable it, pops, bangs, freaking crackling on D-sub. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's pretty cool, but it does get kind of annoying. So that's why I have my two maps. But the second map is actually how I first started out, and the first map is how we finished. So you can see some pretty drastic change. Overall, pretty damn happy with the tune. And just like that, I was recording this video and realized I did not have a freaking outro. If you're watching YouTube, now I'm just like, oh. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I tried explaining everything as thoroughly as I could. I know for a fact I missed some stuff. I know someone's in a comment that I messed up, tunes are bad, whatever. Someone hopefully can give me some more tips and help me improve in the tuning. As of right now, that car is driving great. The next video, I'll see if maybe I can do how to do the popcorn, how to make it aggressive, how to make it go all crazy and all that, and same with the two-step. If you guys like that and enjoy this video. But I'm gonna end it here because I'm pretty tired. It's 1 in the morning and I want to get this uploaded. Today's Monday. Well, now it's Monday. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it and catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.